All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. We so appreciate your time and for you joining us today. For anyone who's not able to be here for the live session, this is a recorded session, and we will post that after our meeting today so that everyone can get answers to the questions that all of you have submitted and more information about what we're going to present today. So we'll jump to our first slide, and I'll just walk you through quickly our agenda. And then with us today is our middle school team who will be giving information and answering questions as well. Today, we're going to talk about that parent survey, the results and the input that you provided from last week. And I would like to personally say thank you. We have a community that has done a wonderful job of responding when we've asked questions and sent surveys, and we get a lot of good information from that. We are also going to talk to you today about the hybrid model for in-person learning, and then also samples of what weekly learning plans look like per class. And then in addition to that, we'll be talking about extended distance learning for those of you who are opting for your child to stay at home once we return. And then to finalize today, we will talk about our next steps and answer those questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. And Nicole Rayherm is our Director of Educational Technology, and she's been working with this team. And actually, I'm going to still do this slide. That's why I had to pause and hesitate for a moment. I did want to let you know what our education code does require of us as a school district. On 43504, it does require that we offer in-person instruction to the greatest extent possible. And so that is what we are working to do right now for all of our community. On September 15th, as you know, we moved into the red tier, allowing us to start our plan for return to in-person. And at this time, we are now in the orange tier as of Tuesday this week. And we are seeing a low circulation of COVID. And in addition to that, we have convened our working teams, and the one that's with us, part of the team today, is our middle school team on creating and sharing that plan for bringing our students back to campus. And so now it will be Nicole that walks you through the survey data.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. So we're going to just briefly go through some of the questions that we asked in the survey that we sent out. And the more concrete results will be posted later this week. But the first question we did ask is if our families knew that they were going to be opting in for EDL regardless because of whatever reasons they had to quarantine. And so you can see here that we had approximately 125 students or families opt into EDL by that question, and over 680 of them wanted to come back or did not commit to EDL at that time. Next slide. So we also wanted to make sure that we asked our families about what their preference was. And so we asked families, your preference for your child's learning is, and we had a couple of choices here. It was our current model with the current distance learning schedule, some kind of a hybrid model so that we could bring students back to campus, and our EDL model, which is allowing students to stay home while also allowing students to come back to campus. And as you can see here, we had about 22% of our families say that they would like to stay in the current model, but we had 72% say that they wanted to have us bring students back to campus. Next slide. So then we asked about a couple of different models for our hybrid. So in this one, it was a 5-day-a-week AM/PM model with shorter class periods, and we had 77% say that they would choose that hybrid model if given the choice between that and EDL. The next option was to do longer classes in a 3-by-3 format, but only having 3 classes per 6-week period of time. And so when we asked our families about this schedule, you'll see that we actually had 81% say that they would send their students in this hybrid model. And the third schedule that we shared was the hybrid model where we had all 6 of our classes instead of a 3-by-3, but they were but you were only seeing your teacher or your class 1 day per week. And in this model, we had 81% of our families choose to say that they would send their kids to school under this model. We also surveyed our families and asked about what their priorities were for the in-person instruction. And as you can see, I know it's very small writing, but we made it bigger on the right. The number one that came back was keeping the same teachers. We are very connected to our teachers, and our families feel like that's one of their priorities. Number two, of course, came in as rigorous instruction. 3 was in-person minutes. 4 was a combination of synchronous and Zoom in-person minutes. And 5 was maintaining all of the 6 classes, and that was the least of the priorities in this survey.
All right, so this is Anna Lazzarini, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we got to where we are at this moment with the selections that we have. After surveying the families, as you saw the data that Nicole shared with you, we looked at the preferences for in-person learning. We also reviewed parent responses and input and feedback from various meetings that we've had. We put together our working team, which started with us earlier in the summer and came back together, and that's a team full of teachers, one from every department at the middle school, administrators from the middle school, a counselor, and a district administrator. And we've been meeting weekly to discuss and explore and create and implement different models of what a hybrid schedule could look like for the middle school. And as I just said, we researched different options for hybrid models, and after looking at each one of them and gathering more teacher feedback and input, and based on the data that research feedback and input created by the hybrid model for in-person learning, we kind of landed on the priorities that reflect the priorities of parents and students and staff. Next slide, please.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Mark Nelson, Assistant Principal of the middle school. After we walk you through what the working team landed on a 3x3 hybrid model for in-person learning, and Anna will talk more about the benefits of the 3x3 model, but we wanted to walk you through what that looks like specifically. So I'm going to walk you through what a couple of weeks I'll walk you through what the semester would look like in a 3x3 model. First of all, you're going to have students would be divided into 2 cohorts alphabetically. You have a blue cohort or a blue group and a green cohort or a blue group. On Mondays, students would remain home and you would have a full class Zoom. So this is an opportunity to get more synchronous minutes, and you'd have all the kids zooming into their period 1 class. And again, in the 3x3 model, you take your periods 1 through 3, which would be the first 6 weeks of the trimester. And then in the second 6 weeks of the trimester, you transitions to your periods 4 through 6. The blue group, so on Monday, you have period 1, periods 2, and period 3. Each period is 1 hour long, and there's a 15-minute break in between classes, and then there's lunch. And then on Monday afternoons, the students go home, and they have student asynchronous learning in the afternoon, and that is teacher planning and collaboration, where teachers work together, they assess student work, we have our meetings, and so forth. On Tuesdays and on Thursdays, the blue group comes for in-person instruction. So Tuesday, you will have the blue group is in the classroom, and they are getting their 60 minutes of in-person instruction for period 1, while the green group is at home doing asynchronous work for that period. And then you have a break for 15 minutes to allow for cleaning. And then your period 2, the blue group, 60 minutes of instruction, the green group is home, 15-minute break, and then you go to your period 3 class. And then that flips on Wednesdays. So the green group comes in and they have their 60 minutes of instruction. It would be the same lesson the blue group got. And then the blue group would be home following along in Google Classroom doing work for those periods during that time. Every single day you are out, the students would be released at 12:30 to go home. And we have a flexible learning time in the afternoon. And this flexible learning time allows for additional asynchronous learning for teacher office hours and support for our special ed students to receive their special ed instructional minutes and the minutes as part of their IEP. ELD support, there could be optional iReady math and ELA practice. There could be optional foreign language practice if students are currently not taking those classes at that time. So one of the things about the 3x3 is you essentially take your 6-period day, and if you have English, history, and PE, periods 1, 2, and 3, those are the classes you take the first 6 weeks. So you will have a trimester's worth of work in the 6 weeks. And then the next 6 weeks, you would take your periods 4, 5, and 6 class. So that's what it would look like. And then 8:40 to 9 is still Panther Community. We really enjoy doing Panther Community. We want to keep that as a sense of building community and keeping everybody together. So the kids at home would log on to Panther Community. The teachers would have it up in their classrooms while they're doing the health screening prior to entering in the classroom. Next slide. And then I think I mentioned the afternoons were asynchronous. I talked a little bit about the flex sessions. This slide just shows you, this would be the second 6 weeks of the trimester. So the first 6 weeks of the trimester being November 30th through January 22nd, all students would have periods 1 through 3. And then the second 6 weeks of the trimester, January 25th to March, I want to say 12th, they would have periods 4 through 6. And then we would alternate the A days and B days to allow for their PE and their art and music class. In this model, you have 180 minutes of live synchronous instruction per class. Now, synchronous minutes, it's important to note, can be either in Zoom or in person. So with synchronous minutes, you're with the teacher. And under this model, we were able to, in researching all the models, this model actually gives us the most synchronous minutes with teachers. And we felt that was important so that kids have that interaction with the teachers in terms of instruction. And it really alludes to and talks about depth versus breadth. And so I'm going to have Jonna Palmer, our library media teacher, who is phenomenal, talk a little bit about the curriculum benefits of this model.
Yeah, I like a lot of things about this model, but I particularly like that it does allow for that full hour of instruction, of live instruction 3 days a week, so you could really dig into the curriculum. And that can even mean going back to things like projects and things that we remember from last year, long ago. A couple other things is I really do like that Monday time where we can get kids set up for the week and have all the kids together. So many kids have actually been able to make friends in their classes, even though it's over Zoom. I think it's really nice to have that, along with having that time in the morning with Panther Community and that flex time after lunch every day, or I guess on Tuesday through Friday, where they can do small group instruction. If they're doing office hours, they can come to club meetings. They can just have a lot of those opportunities to come together with their classes instead of being kind of separated into those two cohorts. So I think that really helps us, again, build that community, which is really nice. And I like the idea that it gives us so much time to work with kids every day, as opposed to having them be a little bit more shorter and more asynchronous time. So I think this is a really nice way of getting as many instructional minutes in as we can.
Thank you, John. I'll hand it over to Anna, who will talk further on the next slide about the benefits of the 3x3.
As I mentioned previously, that we did look at the survey results. We did look at other options and other models, and we landed on the 3x3 because we felt that it reflects the priorities that we have for our students and staff, and that our parents also shared in the survey data. We know that 77% of our students and families want to return to campus, even if it is just for 2 days a week. We believe that this model, we know that this model can work for the rest of the year, whether we're, we want to be in person and we want to be hybrid for the rest of the year. But if there's any reason for us to have to slide back into, a distance learning, we can just slide with this schedule. So there won't be a need to make any other schedule changes. And as mentioned by Mark and Jonna, this provides 180 minutes of in-person instruction per class and 120 minutes of asynchronous instruction per class. And one of the better features of this is for safety as well. As we all know, trying to limit the number of contacts you have. And so it reduces the overall contacts for students and staff. Students and staff would be in contact with about 70 students each week. And other options meant that all the teachers and students would be in touch with at least 140 contacts, not counting the kids that they move around with outside. Students manage 3 classes at a time as opposed to 6. And we've noticed that during this, even during distance learning, that there's a lot of stress and anxiety over having to keep up with 6 different classes. So we felt that this was really a student-centered decision, that students would be able to focus and not have to worry about 6 classes at a time. We know that there are schools that are currently doing this model and that it has been working for them. And we've received feedback from them. And we know that teachers, by doing the 3x3 and for 6 weeks at a time, they can go into more depth and not try to spread out everything. Still using essential standards, but they will be able to go into more depth with their classes than they are currently, or that they would in any other hybrid model. And this allows for students who continue to, in the hybrid model, to keep mostly their current teachers. So we're looking at also minimizing schedule changes only as absolutely needed. We don't want to have complete overhaul of everybody's schedule. And the flexible afternoon learning and engagement time for support classes and homework help is also beneficial to students, especially for those students who might not have a certain class for 6 weeks because of the way their schedule works. And next slide. Lisa.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Lamar, and I'm the Dean of Students here at Mill Valley Middle School. So for our extended distance learning program, we will be using an online curricular program to provide students with Common Core state standards based approved curriculum, which includes English, history, science, and math. With this online program, students will have the ability to choose electives such as world languages, art, music appreciation, and many more. Extended distance learning teachers will consult with the students' current MVMS teachers in order to place students in appropriate levels and similar units to match where they left off at the end of the first trimester. Students will be assigned to at least 2 synchronous study or discussion sessions a day with classmates and their MVMS EDL teacher. The number of students who opt in to the program will determine the number of MVMS teachers who staff the program. Once the number of students and teachers are confirmed, we will utilize the subject area expertise of the teachers to provide additional enrichment opportunities that will continue to connect EDL students to MVMS. So a couple of ways that EDL students can stay connected to Mill Valley Middle School and their peers are they can continue to log into Panther Community Time, which is that time first thing in the morning. EDL teachers will utilize their subject area and teaching expertise to enhance the instructional opportunities for students. Next slide. So, sample schedule. So students would be assigned 2 sessions per day facilitated by an MVMS teacher and would be working on the online platform during the other blocks of time. Discussion sessions will have a minimum of 10 students in them for collaboration time with peers. Each facilitated session will be focused on core content areas. Office hours would be available for additional support at the end of the day. Students would be able to participate in any offerings that MVMS might have in the afternoons, including library activities, clubs, and potential enrichment for band courses. Next slide, please.
So our next steps, we're starting to work on that, and then we'll be with our Q&A. We have sent out a commitment form. We're pushing back the due date on this form so that we may communicate to parents which online program we will be using and will be chosen for extended distance learning. And families will need to choose between the extended distance learning option or the in-person option for the remainder of the school year. MVMS will schedule students in hybrid or EDL, depending on what the selection is of the family. And schedule changes if information will be communicated to all families by Friday, November 20th. Next slide.
Okay, and the part I think you guys were all waiting for. So we received well over 250 questions in our form that we sent out, and we thank you all for taking the time to send those in. One of the great things is a lot of the questions were duplicates, so it was really good to pare them down and be able to find what you guys most wanted to know. One of the recurring questions that was happening in the form was that our families were asking about a potential AM/PM model. So we really wanted to pause and make sure that we were able to address that with you guys today. And so on the next slide, Mark's going to go over the AM/PM model that we have discussed in our working group, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about what an AM/PM would look like.
Thanks, Nicole. So as Nicole mentioned, our working team discussed multiple models over the course of the summer and again back in the fall when we reconvened. The AM/PM model was one of those models that we discussed. And so we just wanted to let you all know what an AM/PM model would look like here at the middle school. Again, we want to keep up with Panther Community. We're having fun with Panther Community. It's a great way to get kids together. So from 8:40 to 8:55 would be Panther Community. And we would probably Zoom that in for the kids from home. And again, the kids coming into the classroom could see it. The teachers would do their health screening outside prior to coming in. On Monday from 8, so basically you have periods 1, 2, 3. You have an AM cohort, which is the blue group, and you have a PM cohort, which is the afternoon group. And Monday and Tuesday, you have periods 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and then it just alternates. So Wednesday would be 1, 2, 3. Thursday would be 4, 5, 6. Friday would be 1, 2, 3. It's a 2-week roll. It's kind of hard to visualize right now, but you can see that you're offsetting those periods. So we need to even up those periods. So the next week, the reason we say 2-week roll, beginning week 2 of it, you start with periods 4 through 6. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, you have periods 1 through 3. And then on Wednesday and Friday, you have periods 4 through 6. That's why we call it a 2-week roll. As far as the A-day classes and the B-day classes are concerned, we would still iron out those finer details. But if you were just to alternate A-days and B-days, it winds up being a 4-week roll before you have before those classes see each other at the same time. The daily bell schedule, the classes are shorter in this model because we have to get 950 kids on campus in one day. So you would have 850, and we have to allow for cleaning between the classes as well. So from 8:55 to 9:35 would be period 1. And again, the blue group is on campus, the green group is home. 40-minute class, and there's a 15-minute break in between in order to allow for cleaning. The kids would all go outside and have a snack with monitored and supervised breaks. Period 2 would be from 9:50 to 10:30. Period 3 would be from 10:45 to 11:25. At 11:25, the AM or the blue group cohort would go home, and they lunch. We would provide lunch for those who needed it, or we would have grab and go lunches, but they would essentially grab their lunch and go home. And we need time for our teachers to have lunch as well and to clean. 12:05 to 12:20 would be the arrival and screening time for the afternoon group. So they would show up and they'd stand on their dots. I'm going to address this in some of the safety questions at the end, but we have beautiful yellow dots painted all over school where the kids stand prior to coming in to make sure they've done their health screening. In the afternoon, 12:20 to 1 o'clock is their 40-minute class. You have a 15-minute break. Kids go outside, 1:15 to 1:55, 15-minute break, and then 2:10 to 2:50. And then again, you alternate the same period. So the teachers essentially, the teachers are teaching periods 1 through 3. So if I teach United States history, I don't know why I bring that up because I taught it for 10 years. I come into school in the morning and I have half my classes. I teach 1 through 3, same thing. And then I have my lunch. And then the second half of my classes come in the afternoon and I teach the same thing again. So I'm teaching that same thing twice every single day. And I'm seeing all 140 of my kids during the course of that day. The number of synchronous minutes over the course of 2 weeks is 200. So you only would see on classes where I saw my kids 3 times a week, they're 40-minute classes, so that's 120 minutes of synchronous instruction. The following week, it would only be 80 minutes of synchronous instruction. But this AM/PM model, it does get every kid on campus. It is not the model that the working team selected that we landed on for a number of reasons, but we wanted to be able to show parents what the AM and PM model would look like. The questions that have come in relate to the 3x3 as well. And so I can hand it back over to Nicole and we can talk more about those questions.
Okay, we can go ahead and move to the next slide, please. Okay, we're going to start with some of our general questions, and we're going to go through these, and a number of us are just going to jump on the different questions that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and let Anna start.
Okay, who will be teaching the 2 program offerings and how will substitutes be utilized? We are planning that most of our teachers will be teaching in the hybrid program. Depending on how many students are going to be on EDL, that will determine how many teachers we need to provide for EDL. And we will have substitutes. We will hire long-term subs as needed if we can. So that's how we will be able to handle, that's who's teaching both programs. Number 2.
Hey there, what happens with academic support or special education classes? So as we went through all of the models that were being proposed, we had to ensure that students that have learning differences or have different needs would be accommodated and made sure that they got all of the support that they are entitled to. So with that, the academic support classes that do not happen through the 1 through 3 periods in the 3x3 model would then be receiving support during the afternoon flex time. And then the students, it would flip-flop for the 4 through 6 in the same way. And all students will, in this particular model, all students will receive all of the minutes in their IEPs.
All right, it's Anna again. What will band and chorus look like in both models? In the hybrid model, band and chorus will continue as a class as part of their schedule. They will be, we're exploring different options. We just learned yesterday of some options that perhaps might work with Bell something. It's a cover for the instrument. It's also a face cover specifically made for using an instrument with your mouth, and face masks, and that we are hoping that we can maybe move it. We might start with just having some of the classes be more of a music appreciation or instruction about music, and then maybe move outside for part of it as well. And also the flex time in the 3x3 schedule allows for the practice to be done virtually as needed for both of those classes. In the EDL model, the band and chorus would have to be selected through whatever program is going to be the program that we use for EDL. And more will come about that in a few minutes.
And number 4, what happens if we return to remote learning due to county conditions? That was one thing that the working group really liked about the 3x3 hybrid schedule. And that was that we could essentially stick with the exact same schedule if we had to return to all remote learning.
Mark, the next one.
On number 5. So, number 5, my child will start the first 6 weeks with 1 core academic class and 2 electives to do 3 academic classes the second 6 week. How does this feel academically appropriate, and what's in the best interest of the child? Well, we've talked about the benefits of the 3x3 and the fact that having 3 classes really helps kids organize themselves, reduces the stress, reduces their anxiety, so they're only focusing on 3 classes. Right now, they're focusing on 6 classes. So yes, they're having 4 or 5 academic classes at once right now. And in the 3x3 model, yes, while there may be some schedules that you could certainly have 1 academic class and 2 elective classes, you're still reducing that overall number of academic classes, and that's what we feel is important. It allows those kids to focus more on those classes, and they're still going to be getting the help and support that they need.
Next slide.
Hi, I'm Maggie Friend. I teach 8th grade at the middle school, and this is my slide. So the first question, I have another child in the elementary school. Will the district attempt to coordinate the cohorts such that the elementary school kids have the morning cohort to match their older siblings? And unfortunately, because at the middle school, the students have pretty complicated schedules and the number of classes they take and the size of our student population, which is pushing 1,000 kids, we really have to adhere to the alphabetical order. Otherwise, it would just be unmanageable for us to do. The second one, if Marin County moves to yellow, which is minimum risk tier during the 2nd trimester, what would it take to get more in-person instruction time and back to the 6x6 model? So until we're able to go back, I think at 100% capacity on campus, we're going to maintain the 2 cohorts for safety and for consistency for our students in their schedules and with their classes. So currently in the classrooms, desks are spaced 6 feet apart, and that is one of the things that's really driving how many students we can have in the classroom at a time. The third question, our family is concerned about the high-risk holiday season in November and December. Is there an option for a January start? Many families choose to travel and socialize, and that would impact risk. And our plan is to start on November 30th. If the COVID numbers in Marin start to rise again, is there a possibility the school will not reopen on November 3rd, 2020? Excuse me, November 30th. So if we fall back into the purple tier and Dr. Willis indicates that we should not open, we're going to be following his directive. Otherwise, we are going to be in session. Next slide.
Safety questions. This is me. Wouldn't it be safer to start in person after the holidays? Well, right now the county is currently in the orange tier, and these are the lowest transmission rates that we have seen since the pandemic began. And according to our public health officials, now is the best time to bring our kids back for in-person instruction. So we really want to take advantage of that while we can. What kind of safety measures will be in place when students return in person? Well, first we have our school site specific protection plans, our SSSPPs. You may have heard of these. Every school is required to have them prior to returning to in school, and ours is currently posted on our website. It's on the main page of the middle school, and it is updated frequently. And prior to the kids coming back, we'll be sure that it's updated again. It's a living, breathing document, so we always go through and make sure that we have the most up-to-date and current best practices in order to ensure the health and safety of our kids. Just a few to off the top of my head. As the kids come into campus, all parents are going to have to complete a health screen prior to arrival. The kids will then come to campus and they'll approach the campus and their classrooms from their exterior doors. So the kids will not be coming into the main entrance or the 7th and 8th grade entrance or the 6th grade entrance. They'll access their classrooms by the exterior door of the classrooms. So they will go to that area of their classroom. We have painted classroom numbers and dots on the pavement, and they'll stand on their dot. And they'll wait until the teacher comes out and greets them and checks them off that they've completed their screen. As they come in, we have a hand sanitizer stations at the exterior door and the interior door of the classroom. So there's 2 hand sanitizer stations in each classroom. So as they come in, they'll be sure to hit the hand sanitizer and get their hands clean. And of course, the big 3 is there will be face coverings on at all time. We will also be promoting and encouraging hand washing and students maintaining their space. All the classrooms are set up to maintain a space of 6 feet for every student workspace. So all the desks right now are facing forward, and the students will be sitting in their desks face forward, all 6 feet apart with their face coverings on. And there will be 6 feet of space between the teacher and the students at all times as well. And we will, as far as limited movement in the hallway, bathrooms will be monitored, only 2 students in at a time. We have signs, and we'll be reviewing all those. We'll continue to flush out all those protocols as we bring the kids back. But now we have 2 kids in the restroom at a time. They will be monitored. There's egress and ingress for the restrooms as well. So all the kids enter the restroom from the interior, they leave the restroom, the exterior door, and then they head back to class. And again, limited movement in the hallway. We have arrows showing egress and ingress, the directional arrows, so staying on one side of the hallway, and we will be limiting that as best we can. What is the process if a student or staff member tests positive for COVID? Well, we follow the county guidelines and the county guidance around that, and they have specific protocols in place. We will notify families as appropriate. The school district has also sent out the decision tree, the Mill Valley School District COVID Safety Decision Tree, so that is available, and all of our information is on the website. What will be the process during breaks? I'm assuming that means those 15-minute breaks. Well, during that time, the students are going to head straight outside, and they're going to go outside from their exterior classroom doors. They'll be supervised and assigned a specific space, and they will have a chance to be outside for 15 minutes. We will have yard supervisors out there to ensure that the kids are staying 6 feet apart, unless they're getting something to drink, their own drink and their own food, which they can have during their break time. They'll have to have their masks on. And again, we will limit access in the hallways as best we can. Will there be a food and drink policy? I think I just answered that. At lunch will be grab and go, and then kids can eat during breaks, but not in the classroom. But they can have food and water, their own, they bring from home during their breaks. Will you have on-site COVID testing? At this point, we don't have on-site COVID testing, but the district is working with the county and will send out any information around testing to families. Where can we find the safety protocols? As I mentioned, we have our SSSPP. Every school has one. Ours is currently on the website. We also have the MVSD COVID-19 Health and Safety Guide, and we have tweaked it to the MVMS COVID-19 Health and Safety Guide. So thanks to Erin Conklin and Nancy Nakai, who put together our health and safety student and family guide for the district. All the schools have been able to make it and tailor it to their own. So the one that we will have will be essentially the district's, but it's the MVMS one, and it'll be pushed out the week before Thanksgiving, and it'll have all of our policies around it. And another thing that we are doing is that week prior to Thanksgiving break, so November 16th to 20th, we are going to really take the opportunity to educate students and families around all the safety protocols and what the return to in-person instruction is going to look like. We're going to be making some videos. I'm trying to encourage the drama kids to come out, and we'll make some videos about what it will look like, how kids will have to enter and exit classes. So Panther Community, I encourage you all to join Panther Community, well, every day, but especially November 16th to the 20th. And we'll make sure that the kids know that at Panther Community that day is a requirement. We will be going over each day a specific part of our plan, so kids familiarize themselves with what it's going to look like when they come back. Also during that week, we will be figuring out how to get each cohort back on campus to go over the different policies. So prior to the in-person return to instruction, we will have to have students on campus to review what the protocols and procedures will look like before that begins. And there will be more information around those specific logistics the closer we get. Drop off and pick up, it's essentially going to look the same. So I mean, students can still walk and ride to campus. We've spaced out the bike racks as best we can. Drop off will be along Sycamore. And again, as far as health and safety is concerned, we continue to go back to those top three things: face coverings, washing hands, and good hand sanitization, and maintaining a distance of 6 feet. When students do arrive on campus, we're going to ask that they head straight to their yellow dot, and they just wait on their dot until the teachers come out and greet them and bring them up to the classroom. Is that it?
All right, so how are the blue and green cohorts determined at the middle school, and will we be able to have siblings in the same cohort? And the cohort is being determined in an alphabetical order, and so it would be land that most, if not all, siblings would be on the same cohort as the other sibling in the family.
Hi, I'm Kayla Zeisler. I teach 8th grade history at the middle school. I'm going to answer a couple questions here. So what will the asynchronous time look like? So it'll be different, but it could include assignments like, it could be articles and questions. It could be a video either that already exists on the internet or a video made by the teacher with activities for students to do. For example, the way that I do it, I ask them to, share their takeaways from the video with me. It could be that they're working on a project or something. They're applying what we've learned in class during the synchronous time. Then during the asynchronous time, get a chance to practice those skills. And then the teachers would provide feedback on that asynchronous work as well. So I hope that kind of answers some of that question. And then for question 3, for the optional iReady Duolingo recommendation, will there be any student access to teachers if they run into challenges during the weeks off? And yes, of course, even though we won't be teaching those groups of students, we will of course be available during that flex time in the afternoon for students can make appointments with us and or they can email us questions. So we will be available to them even during those off times. So thank you.
And for number 4, will the hybrid model support in-person learning for multiple grades on each day? or will certain days be designated for a specific grade? No, so in our current plan, then you would have half of the school. And so that means all grade levels, half of all grade levels, sorry, would be in school on each day. And number 5 is
number 5. If my child is sent home to quarantine due to another student testing positive, what will instruction look like during that week? So if an entire cohort is quarantined, they can easily revert back to distance learning. And I would assume it would be mostly asynchronous with office hours and most likely some synchronous times.
I'm Erin Sheedy. I'm the 8th grade counselor. How will families be reassured that keeping a student home because of COVID symptoms will not have adverse consequences for their child, including students' anxiety over falling behind? Your student's counselor will be partnering with the teachers to make sure that your student gets all the work that they need. And just like anytime a student is experiencing illness, teachers will be flexible and work with that child to make up that work. And then the counselors are here to help with any strategizing on minimizing anxiety. And since you are home with your student, and if you see your student really stressing out, please reach out to your counselor, and we are here to meet with them and to support them. Next slide. And how will you support children who are academically driven and think in-person learning is best, yet are fearful of returning because they don't feel the school is safe? Again, we are here to support and to come up with strategies on dealing with anxiety and fear, because that is very normal right now. And what the counselors will do is walk through the safety protocols with your student and make sure that they understand all the ins and outs of what we have planned to make school safe. And also, if you're trying to decide what to do, what direction you want your child to go in, and your student has questions for us, counselors are available to meet with them and answer any questions. So.
Looks like number 2 is asking about, in the hybrid model, if we will have Panther community time over Zoom or in person on the in-person days. No, our plan is to actually continue doing it over Zoom. That's been really successful. However, for the cohorts that are in person that day, as teachers are doing the health check and everything, then that Panther community time will be broadcast and shown on a screen in the classroom while other students are watching it from home on Zoom. And again, that's a really nice way to bring the entire school together at one time. I think Kayla.
Yes. So with the 3x3 model, will you need to cut any curriculum, or will the longer periods allow teachers to accelerate and include the normal content? And that was why we chose the 3x3, the working group. That was the main appeal for us, was because of all of the options that we looked at. The 3x3 allowed us the most instructional time and the least amount of curriculum that would need to get cut.
All right, question number 4. If kids need to change clothes for in-person PE, how will they safely maintain social distance in the limited locker rooms? And that is an easy answer for us, because we had already decided long ago that no matter how we came back, this year would be the year that we would not have kids change out for PE. So just for a little history, up until about 10 years ago, and all the way back, our students never changed out for PE. They always did PE in the clothes they came to school when. They wore sneakers, and that is the model that we will be using for outside PE in the in-person hybrid model. And then the next question was, what will the AB model look like on the hybrid? Will students only have one for 6 weeks? And I'm assuming that means what the AB, which is PE sharing a period with art or PE or music. And no, so that will not determine the students who are in those classes during periods 1 through 3 will have those for 6 weeks, and they will alternate. That's why we're calling them blue and green cohorts, so we can continue to use our A and B days. And then the students who have those classes 4 through 6 will have them the following 6 weeks, and we'll flip flop that way as the year proceeds. Next slide.
Okay, so our next set of questions are really about the structure of our our extended distance learning program that we're going to be offering for our students who do need to stay home during this time. And so our first question was, what is the online curriculum platform the extended learning students will be using? Will a teacher be instructing them, or will they be on their own to cover the material? How many in-person minutes per day will my student be learning from a live teacher? And how many minutes per day will my child be on their own managing their learning? So it's kind of a lot of questions bundled into one. So the first thing I want to say is the curriculum platform has not been selected yet, which is why we are extending the deadline for when we want commitments to come in, because we do want to provide you with that information. As a working team, we have reached out and spoken with a lot of neighboring school districts and throughout the Bay Area as well, to get some feedback on some programs that they have chosen to use for their EDL programs. And so we're currently looking at about 3 different ones, including Accelerate, which is one that a local district is using. Apex is another one, and Edumentum, I believe, is one that we are looking at. And so when we make that decision, which will be here in the next couple of days, we will be sure to communicate that out to our families. The great thing about having this platform to provide the various course offerings to our students is really that we can be a little bit more personalized in what we're doing with these students. So when the question comes up with, will a teacher be instructing them or will they be on their own? It's kind of a combo of that. So the program itself is built in with instructional videos, and it has, they all have scaffolded work to walk students through learning pieces. And then our MVMS credentialed teacher that is teaching EDL at the time will be facilitating that learning. And so every day for a minimum of 2 hours, students will be working with one of those MVS SD teachers, sorry, one of the middle school teachers to facilitate that learning. Depending on the content area and especially the subject matter expertise of those teachers that we have in that program, that can look very different. They may be doing study guides together. There may be little mini lessons that are put in there depending on the content. The students will definitely be grouped with their classmates. So we don't want students to feel like they're completely on their own. This isn't an independent study option. And so a lot of this facilitated learning time might be the students going through the online curriculum together with the guide of the teacher, kind of helping them out and getting them through that. So there will be a lot of individualization that has to happen, and there's going to have to be some of those independent skills that we've been having to work on for the last couple of months as we've been in this distance learning, but it will also be scheduled and it will be closely monitored with our facilitators working with those students.
For number 2, I think Nicole just answered this really well, but I can go ahead and just remind you that yes, there will be interaction with the for EDL with the MVMS teachers, maybe not very much live instruction. That all really depends, but there would probably be a little bit. I mean, just on a personal note, I would probably zoom into some of those EDL classes and do book talks and some information literacy lessons and things like that.
I'm really glad you pointed that out too. I think it also does definitely allow for things like that. The book talks and the extra check-ins. Our counselors can also be continuing to work on any kind of social emotional stuff that we might need to do with those EDL classes. So the third question here is what electives will be offered. This is largely dependent on the curriculum that we choose, but all of them have elective options as well. So the one that we were looking at most recently, some of the options that they had were music appreciation. They had some art courses. There is foreign language in both English, or sorry, that's not a foreign language, Spanish and French, and actually some other options as well. So the plethora of their platform, of their catalog, course catalog, will be available for our students. There may be some technology classes. One of them offers an intro to coding class. So there's probably some opportunity to check out some subject content that they otherwise maybe would not have gotten.
I think I get the final question for now. Let's see, how many students will be in each EDL class? I think that really depends on the number of students in terms of the student-teacher ratio. Let's see, why does the EDL plan follow the same hours as the hybrid? So that was actually one thing that we really liked about the hybrid schedule that we developed. And the reason that we wanted to have EDL kids follow that same schedule was so that they could continue to take part in some of those extra activities along with, Panther time, so we could continue to build community with those students. So I would love to make sure that those EDL students can still participate in like book club and office hours for me. And things like that. I think that would really help them feel a little bit more part of the community. And I think that was our final question.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So we have just a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to let Dr. Berman wrap us up. But I did look in the Q&A for some things that you guys submitted, and I'm clearly not going to be able to answer all of them, but I do want to just touch base on a couple that I see coming in there. And one that seems to be recurring is a little bit of a confusion over when we talk about our synchronous minutes or our live minutes for our classes on the hybrid model versus what we're currently experiencing. So we're talking about per class period. So when we give you numbers, we're talking about specifically for that class. So you may have currently more synchronous minutes because you're taking 6 classes, but you're not getting more per class. And so I just want to make sure that we clarify that for you. We're looking at for English, for math, you're getting this many synchronous minutes for that class. So that was one of the questions that came up. So I did want to make sure that I answered that.
I'm going to jump in real quick, Nicole. I don't mean it. There's another question I saw that I forgot to add around the safety precautions. Just regard to our HVAC system, I can't believe I forgot about HVAC. It's all I've done for 10 years. All of our HVAC filters have been upgraded to the MERV 13 filters. We had Matrix was out here. I think Julio Arroyo, our director of maintenance and operations, discussed this at the last board meeting. So they've been serviced. We have air purifiers in every classroom as of today. They're here, and our maintenance team is currently putting those in. So we will have air purifiers in every single classroom. We do have the MERV 13 filters in our HVAC system as well. I just wanted to let that know.
Thank you. So there's another question. Oh, go ahead,
I
Anna.
want to clarify, because I think that when I said, when I was talking about the EDL and the teachers, who's going to be teaching what, the EDL will have our current MVMS teachers who also need to be on extended distance teaching, and we will be replacing them with long-term subs, not the other way around. And I apologize if that's how it sounded.
Thank you for that. So I have seen a couple of questions about the flex time. So I do want to make sure that we're very clear. Flex time is going to be from home. So students do leave at the end of, and I don't remember the time block, but at lunch, they will be going home. And unless you're one of the students who has been reached out to separately because you're assigned to an afternoon in-person something or other during that time, the other flex sessions will be done via Zoom from home. And then there was a question about how long the 2 synchronous study or discussion sessions would be each day. And we're referring to the EDL model now. And I want to be really clear that there are a lot of kind of tiny details we haven't worked out just yet with the EDL because we don't know who is teaching those 2 courses just yet. We will have that kind of solidified in the next 2 days. But it will be a minimum of at least 2 hours of that time per day. But depending on what our numbers look like, we can adjust that higher. And there is the optional office hours for that group of students as well. So I'll see if we can get one more in here. And if anybody else on the panel saw one they wanted to answer, you can pop in real quick. Oh, so there was a question about the new due date for the commitment form. I don't have that just yet because I want to make sure we've selected our curriculum first, but we will communicate that out with you very soon.
But it is not November 2nd.
It is not November 2nd. Yes, correct. Okay, with that, I think, Dr. Berman, would you like to close us up?
Thank you, everyone. We have made sure to copy all of the questions from the Q&A. So Nicole, thank you for being able to answer a few of those right now that were new. And we really do appreciate all the questions that came in ahead of time. We do plan to come back together with you again in this format. And our working team, all of the people on right now and many other middle school staff will be meeting again this afternoon. So we will be working on those answers and continuing to get more information out to you. We do appreciate your time. We will post this session for anyone that was unable to make it, and we will post the questions and answers in writing as well. Thank you all and take care.